Springfield's Talk 104.1. Hello and welcome, everyone. My name is Nick Reed. It is Thursday. Tomorrow, Friday, broadcasting live from Scramblers. Friday Road Show, sponsored by Custom Shade Window Tinting, which is powered by 3M Window Film. Tonight is today into tonight, the last day of the Democratic National Convention. And, of course, I'm going to view it with an eye that's different than most. I try as best as, well, I shouldn't say than most, but then those who are supporters of the Democrat Party, I do try to just objectively at the same time you get a sense of how is this playing out. And I don't think it's landing. I mean, you listen to the speeches, and they're really, truly, genuinely, there is no substance. I mean, there's nothing. Not to mention, they're trotting out these, Hillary Clinton, Bill Clinton. I mean, these elderly people, which a significant portion of the people at the convention weren't even old enough to vote for. I mean, obviously, a lot of them were. Even those that are really young. You look at the Clintons. There's this internet, online, social media meme/joke that was going around for a while. That was one of those for people above a certain age, that recognition of how old you are. And it was when parents would hear their kids referring to things that happened in the 1900s, as if for many of us, the 1800s were for, but just hearing that term like the 1900s, as if it were just centuries ago. That is as historic the 1900s as the 1300s, and that for a while became a thing where people would post about their kids making those references, and oh my gosh, is that really how they view what to me did not seem that long ago? And I'm thinking here, some of their main speakers are from the 1900s. Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, these elderly rich white people. Even the Obamas, I think the shine is gone, the magic, if you will. And part of that is because the Democrats are now claiming that Kamala Harris is that great anointed one. She is the one that the media is presenting as transformational. She is the one that the media and the Democrats are painting as being historical. And that's how it is with the Democrats. Everything is either the worst, most horrible thing in the world at any given moment, or it's the best, greatest thing in the world, depending on whose side it is that they're presenting. Every Republican candidate's Hitler, worse than Hitler, worse than Hitler. And they've gotten into this mode where anytime they put someone up, they're just the greatest thing ever. I mean, Adam Schiff declaring whenever the election of Biden was overthrown by the Democrats and they anointed Kamala Harris at the behest of the billionaire donors, that there was no vice president, or no, it wasn't vice president, that there was no person that has ever been more prepared to be president in the history of this country than Kamala Harris, which is just a laughable joke. But that's what they do. They don't have any sort of emotional discipline, and it's not tethered to any sort of intellectualism. So they make these massively outlandish statements. And when you do that, then that means everyone else takes a back seat. And Barack Obama, of course, once upon a time, he was that person. And I think that there's a lot of that magic that is no longer there. It just doesn't resonate, particularly when you're trying to convince people, voters, that Kamala Harris is the most amazing person ever. And so you just have all of these throwback people. You have all of these individuals, and they just talk in these sort of rhetorical unity, while the other side is awful and a bunch of Nazis that are going to destroy the country. But there's no real substance to it. It's just creating fear under the mirage of unity. And you can only do that for so long before your base narrows to just nothing but cult followers that never get tired of that sort of stuff. Eventually, even your own active base, at some point, it doesn't mean that that they're going to leave the party, but I think it just at some point becomes boring. It becomes the same thing, and this convention, it just that's what it seems like. Now, again, obviously, I'm not the audience. Nor apparently is Middle America. Oftentimes, the goal is to capture Middle America, to capture those undecided voters, to capture the independent voters. They don't seem to be attempting to do that. It's more about their radical base with the, free hot dog coupons in exchange for abortions and, just all of that sort of stuff that they have going on there at the convention. And, today's their last day to wrap it up. I suspect it's not going to be any more impressive. In fact, this has got to be somewhat historic. The betting markets. This is where you got a number of these sites out there in which people bet on anything and everything under the sun, the presidential election being one of them. Of course, after the coronation of Kamala and the media beginning their campaign to get Kamala elected president, the betting markets that had Trump just way, way, way ahead of Biden, all of a sudden, the betting markets in which people are putting down money, what they really feel is and it's their own money. So you can bet that people are betting not on what they want people to believe, but what they really believe and what they're hearing their neighbors say and their friends say and just the overall feeling they get themselves about which direction they're going to go. And going into the convention, the media had managed to get Kamala just barely ahead of Trump in the betting markets. As the convention has gone down, or as the convention has gone on, Trump has retaken over Kamala Harris. It is almost without exception, and I'm not sure if ever there has been a convention that actually has done harm to the candidate. You generally get something, nothing massive necessarily, but there's a little bit of bump, the post-convention bump it's called, and to see the betting markets day by day as the convention goes on, Kamala Harris's believed likelihood of becoming president diminishing while Trump's is increasing once again, it says a lot about what's going on at that convention. Christy Filnecki, she's going to be joining us in the 7 o'clock hour. And, of course, we'll have Author of the Week, sponsored by ABC Books, in the 8 o'clock hour. Latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll have mostly sunny skies with a high near 82. Tonight mostly clear with a low around 60. For your Friday, sunny with a high near 89. And on Saturday, sunny with a high near 91.
KSGF.com, your chance to win tickets to see Peter Pan 180K, performed by Broadway's Best. Go to KSGF.com. You'll see it there. Get yourself signed up. Get yourself registered. Your chance to win those tickets. And then don't forget tomorrow, 10 a.m., Local for Less Ozarks. not coupons, but gift certificates, $50. You can purchase for $25 to Big Whiskeys, and you can get 2 of those. So essentially, you can get $50. We'll get you $100 gift certificates at Big Whiskey. That goes live at KSGF.com tomorrow at 10 a.m. In addition to the betting markets moving back towards Trump as the American people listen to the pitch this week given by Democrats, there was also additional transparent news bad for the Democrats, and that is that, amazingly enough, by almost 1 million jobs, this administration was off. They've been talking about all these 818,000 jobs. The Labor Department under the Biden administration has come out and said, oopsie daisies, yeah, those jobs actually never existed. Now, this has become standard. This was standard during the Obama years. They would put out these numbers that weeks later they would come back and quietly restate as being much lower or less positive, economically speaking, than they were when they made the big announcement. I mean, it was consistent. It became a running joke every time numbers came out. Whatever the numbers may be, a GDP situation or jobless claims, it always was wrong and would have to be revised. And the revisions were done quietly. And I remember doing the show. I remember after Trump got elected, sitting there at what the time was Brick's Belgian Waffle and Pancake House, where we did shows at the time, and saying it will be interesting to see if that trend flips itself, if these government entities that release these numbers will, instead of overinflating them as they did in order to make Obama look good, if they will begin underinflating. And that's exactly what happened. They would come out with numbers. The experts would be trotted out to say, well, these are disappointing numbers. These aren't as great as Trump had predicted. And then quietly a few weeks later, there would be a revision that showed that the numbers were much better than the original numbers. And then once Biden got elected, we've gone right back to the scenario of the Obama years, where they put out these numbers that they're able to utilize in order to claim that, well, things are starting to get better now. Oh, yes, we know that things have been really bad, but you just got to hold on. You just got to wait. Over 800,000 jobs. We're not. Oftentimes these revisions are, they revised it down 8,000, or, it actually was about 4,000 more. 818,000 jobs. And it's just, again, amazing that every time they erroneously report numbers with the big announcements that are anticipated and waited for, it always is beneficial to the Democrats. Then you have what appears to be, potentially, RFK Jr. endorsing Donald Trump. Now, this hasn't been confirmed, but he is making an announcement tomorrow regarding the direction of his campaign as he continues to battle the Democrats, throwing him off the ballot. He's not the only one. Cornel West, the black man, they continue to try and throw him off ballots. Jill Stein, they continue to try and throw her off of ballots. And a lot of it is, even if they're not successful, what's occurring here is they're draining them of their resources. It's the same thing that they've been doing with Donald Trump and trying to drain his resources with lawfare. And RFK Jr.'s running mate talked about this on a podcast. She's a lifelong fundraiser for the Democrat Party, that she realizes now what they do, what the Democrat Party does. And hinted at the fact that they essentially have two options: either stay in this thing and perhaps help Kamala Harris get elected president, someone that in their expression and view is completely anti-democratic by, again, rigging elections, or get out and explain to their voting base, this is why Trump needs to be president of the United States. And RFK Jr., he's going to be, he's I think it's in Arizona. Trump is giving or having a rally on Friday, and this also is where RFK Jr. is going to be making his announcement about the direction of the election. I think that it's also telling that it's going to be done after the convention is over. So perhaps not to get lost in the final days of the Democratic National Convention. None of this, of course, is positive news for the Democrats. The revision of the job numbers, the RFK Jr. and his running mate perhaps coming out and endorsing Trump. We don't know that that is what's going to happen, but the one thing that I think most people can be certain of, and that is that in no way, shape, or form are they going to be supportive of the party that has made it virtually impossible for voters to have that ticket as an option. Because it's the party of democracy, baby. And that's what you do when you're protecting democracy. You rig elections. Springfield's Talk 1041, I'm Nick Reed. One of the speakers yesterday at the Democratic National Convention was one of the cackling hens from The View because, hey, what better representation of intelligence than grabbing someone from The View to speak? And she was railing on Trump because of what she presented as his affection for dictators, and I'm like, you people are mirroring the way that communists pick leaders. This is how the communists pick leaders for their party. They just tell the people, this is who you're now going to support. No vote, no participation from the citizens. And to listen to these people portray the opposition party as being these dictators that are anti-freedom and want to tell you how to live your lives. You literally are operating as a communist party. I mean, perhaps there's some sort of pageant show in which the people are allowed to pretend as if they participate, but in the end, the party tells the people, yeah, no, this is your new leader. And then they all applaud. We're talking about the disconnect from reality. Former President Trump surging ahead of Kamala Harris in at least one betting market after receiving a surprise boost as the Democratic National Convention continues in Chicago. Trump, who was surpassed by Harris in the prediction market a week ago, has regained his position as the front-runner on Polymarket, where traders on Wednesday gave him a 52% chance of winning the 2024 presidential election. Harris's odds dropped down to 47 last week. The site had Harris beating Trump 51-46. Trump also saw a boost in his odds on BetUS or BetUS on Wednesday. That would be yesterday, though the former president was still barely trailing Harris on that platform as of early afternoon with an implied probability of 52.38 to 54.55, and Trump continuing to gain ground. It's a pretty remarkable thing to watch occur, to have a convention and to have, as the American people are observing, not talking about the experts, and these aren't loyalists. These are people who bet on things. Not that you don't have loyalists within. I mean, obviously you're going to have people that are hardcore Republicans, people that are hardcore Democrats that take place in these betting markets. But these are on the whole a just mixture of everyday people. And to have them observing what is going on with the Democrats, the week that the Democrats should be solidifying support, should be winning people over, to watch the average non-political person increasingly, as they hear the Democrats talk, think, boy, I don't think that this is going to go well for them. It is a pretty remarkable thing, and I just don't know, at least in my lifetime, that anything like that has ever happened. They need more celebrities and more abortions. I mean, they just got to crank that up. Man, if they could get some celebrities to get abortions, maybe they could actually do some sort of virtual or have a virtual abortion where maybe you aren't pregnant so you can't experience the joys of an abortion. They could set up a virtual reality room with an Oculus. Facebook could sponsor it, of course, and then you could actually, through VR, experience as best as possible what an actual abortion is like. The beauty of it, because it's just so unfortunate that there's so many people, particularly there at the convention this week, that just they're not in the current position to have that experience, that beautiful experience of killing their own child. And it's just wrong. It's just wrong. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed.
Fields Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll see mostly sunny skies with a high near 82. Tonight mostly clear with a low around 60. For your Friday, sunny with a high near 89. And on Saturday, sunny with a high near 91.
A1 Custom Car Care, you got car care needs. They are the place to go. What about your tires? So often that is a separate trip. Got the tire place over here. Got my trusted mechanics over there. How about all in one place? And I'm not talking about, I get my tires balanced. But what about purchasing of tires? What about having full-blown tire service? It is a pretty important component to your vehicle. I mean, you can't really even drive without them. A1 Custom Car Care now, full tires, all locations. You can find them, ksgf.com, Nick's endorsements. Increasingly, I've talked about this numerous occasions over the past couple of weeks. There are these interviews being done with people of color about the presidential election. Some of them are internet people. Some of them are mainstream media people. And it is remarkable to me with the consistency in which people, black people specifically, that are unashamed in saying that they're going to vote for Donald Trump and explaining why. Oh, there are, and some of these, I'm going to play some audio for you here. We'll just start off with, this was Chicago Barbershop. And Lawrence Jones, who himself is a black man, of Fox News went to a barbershop and talking with the men in the barbershop about the upcoming election. And this is how the conversation goes.
It's the center of everything in the community. If you want to know something, politics, what's happening in the streets, any type of deals, anything, you come to the barbershop. The DNC is here in Chicago. How do y'all feel about that?
It's a really interesting discussion. We're going to find out, after this convention, how the American people feel about their pocketbooks.
Tell me about the people that come and sit in your chair. What do they say is, what's normally the number one issue they feel is facing the country right now? Finances?
Yeah. What? Cost of living is high.
They tell me that they just, they want to see a change in inflation, prices.
I think taxes are too high. Groceries are too high. Taxes are too high. Gas is too high. It's just too high.
All the immigrants came in and they giving, it's like stuff they had for the Americans, they're giving it to the immigrants that's coming in.
Mm-hmm.
It hurts black people more than anything. Black men particularly like to work with their hands. They like to drive trucks. And, those are jobs that, an illegal can come in and underbid him with third world prices and put him out of work.
Who do you think is responsible for them, giving them the benefits and allowing them to come over?
Biden, Trump was trying to keep them out, so to speak.
I want to pause it here for a moment because I don't want this point to get lost in the conversations that are occurring here. What that gentleman is explaining is why the Democrats in the media have made such a deal portraying Trump talking about black jobs as if that's a racist term. Of course, that's never been a racist term before. We have black business owners, black barbershops, black music, black jobs, but because Trump said black jobs, they began to pitch a fit and portray that as if all of a sudden, for the first time ever, that terminology was racist. Michelle Obama played off it. The reason that they've been doing it is because of what that guy is saying there, and that is a very common thing in the black community. And that is the illegals that are being shipped into this country by the Biden-Harris administration are taking jobs that black people, this is according to this guy, and again, he's not the only one, that black people otherwise might have. Or, they will lose them, and then illegals will get hired much cheaper. This isn't a new concern within the black community, and the Democrats and the media know that. That's why that whole thing about black jobs, oh my God, how dare you say that? What is a black job? They know exactly what he's talking about. He's talking about what the black community is talking about. That's why in order to steer people away from the conversation, to make people afraid to talk about it, portray it as a racist conversation. We'll continue on.
But is it good? But right, it's like let the gate open.
Who would win from the people that you speak to, Kamala Harris or Donald Trump?
50-50.
It's still a 50-50 race.
Yeah, it's something else. Some people like Kamala because she represents change and she's different.
Correct.
Some people like Trump because they feel like he's more business-minded. So it's just for something else.
It's a coin flip.
They're going to go for Kamala.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think they're going to go for Kamala?
Because they made it about history now.
I'm gonna vote for Kamala.
So when you were telling me about the number one issue, was talking about illegal immigration, them coming to Chicago, she represents the same thing as Biden. You said Trump fixed it, was trying to fix it. So why would you double down and vote for Kamala?
The reason I would, like I said, vote for her is because
You say to the brothers that say, I'm just trying to, life was just better for me under the last
I don't
administration.
believe that. I don't believe it. Especially people in our industry.
But you do hear it, don't you?
I hear it, but I don't believe it.
Yeah.
I don't believe it.
It's really enlightening to hear individuals start to change their political direction. I think it's time that blacks in general need to boost our political IQ. Stop being blindly faithful to a one-party system that doesn't work.
Growing up, you choose to be like a Democrat, but they really don't know the history of it. It's time to, to start thinking about like thinking outside the box.
Basically, most of us, I believe, we voted Democrat because that's what we was brought up to do. You go to the poll, they say vote Democrat, vote Democrat. But I don't really see no change that they say they're doing.
Everything you're hearing from the Democrats are already things that they failed at over 30 years. Blacks are struggling more than any other demographic. We got the highest prison rate, highest high school dropout rate, highest murder rate. What's in it for us?
Most blacks are conservative.
Mm-hmm.
If the Republican Party could just learn how to communicate, and the reason why they can't communicate is they don't get us. But a lot of people are waking up right now, as you can see, something speaking to the brothers and sisters in the shop. And you know how many barbershops and beauty salons there are throughout the country?
This same conversation is happening pretty much in every barbershop.
Everywhere, man, and it's changing.
And so that is a black barber shop in Chicago. Now, just a couple notations, and we're going to take a break, and then I'm going to play, even on CNN, they're talking about there is a real problem that Democrats are facing with black men in particular, and how everywhere you go, there are black men that increasingly are willing to proudly say, I'm voting for Donald Trump. I support, and giving reasons why. There were two individuals in that conversation who said they were going to vote for Kamala Harris. One of which very specifically said things were better under Donald Trump. But he said, well, she's a woman, and I think that a woman should be president, even though he feels that she's going to be worse for the country. What a sad commentary that is. To choose an elected official, not based off of merit or whether it will be better for the future of the country, for the future of families, for children, but because she is a birthing person. And then the other comment was because, well, he felt that she was going to be an agent for change, which is why the media, of course, is trying to, as best as possible, portray her as not having anything to do with the Biden administration in terms of policy, that all of those responsibilities she had, those weren't really her responsibilities, because they know that amongst the American population, most people are very unhappy with the way things are going. So it's interesting that at least with this one voter, so far the media has been successful with him in manipulating him into believing that Kamala Harris is somebody totally different outside this administration, has nothing to do with anything that's going on in the White House or Washington, D.C. Coming up, I've got two other things I want to share with you, and it's all in this context. CNN having an open discussion about the problem that Democrats are facing with the black male vote, and then a man on the street in South Chicago talking to black men about, well, and there's a woman as well, but other than that, it's black men and who it is that they're going to support for president. And once again, it's Trump, Trump, Trump. Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. Home buying, home selling. And maybe both at the same time. It can be very intimidating, can be frightening. When you read reviews, and I recommend that you do, and even reach out, some of the people on social media that talk about their experience with Emily Johnson, you'll notice that they are very specific in the reasons that they encourage others to utilize Emily Johnson of House Theory Realty, but you also see that she does so much more than just show your home or show you homes. Particularly if you are somebody that is selling your home and then, oh, there's a potential buyer, but they have a list of things that they want done. You had an inspection. You need this done. Oh, some termite damage under the home. Oh, there's a problem with the sidewalk or whatever it may be. She has in her mental Rolodex, and her phone as well, trusted people that can take care of those issues for you. So you will not end up finding yourself scouring the internet, asking people who they recommend for this and that, because she has all of that. She can guide you in the right direction, and it's a huge load off of you if you're selling your home. That's what you get with Emily Johnson, House Theory Realty. CNN at the Democratic National Convention discussing the issue that Democrats are having with black men.
Is winning over some black men, yes, Latino men, and that is a real problem for Kamala Harris.
Kamala Harris has got a big problem, right? I watched a Benny Johnson video out here in the south side of Chicago, walking around a strip mall with a microphone saying, who you vote for, going after African-American men. Donald Trump. This is Barack Obama's hometown. Donald Trump in the city of Philadelphia. Donald Trump has a great deal of support from African-American men. You know, one of the things that I note is lacking from a lot of this programming as well, a lot of outreach to the Hispanic community. I mean, you know, I don't see a lot of Hispanics on the stage, right? And so they got a lot of work to do. There's going to be a lot of work to do in the Hispanic community. You know, people, the folks who are in the middle class feel a pinch on the economy, on immigration in their communities. It's going to be a real race. Look, nobody thinks it's going to be easy. No. It's going to be down to a few votes in all these states and all these counties, and that's why it's important.
She's got work to do, clawing back some of these young black men who want to hear that I want you to be successful economically, to be a business owner, to be an entrepreneur. It can't all be government programs. That's not landing well with these young black men. When they hear opportunity, do you mean charity? They want to be owners. They want to be builders. If she speaks to them in that way and listens to them on that point, she can get them back. But right now, she's got work to do.
And Trump still has the aura of strong businessman, businessman. I build things. I'm a tough guy, right? People like that.
He referenced a video that Benny Johnson had put together in which he went to South Chicago, talked with mostly black men. Now, I'm going to play that audio for you next. And he actually starts out and he's talking to a black woman. She's in an SUV with a number of children. They look about around the age of 8 years old. So you're going to hear them some, you'll hear her, and then you're going to hear a number of different black men that he approaches in South Chicago.
And why is that, ma'am? He's the best president. Has Barack Obama done anything for around here and these?
He never did anything since he been in office, and I'm glad he out. Trump, the best.
Barack Obama, I ain't got no message to him. I don't mess with Barack Obama.
Yeah.
Nah, I'm a Trump supporter. Trump do more for black people and care more about black people. And Barack Obama ain't black. Just to let that be known.
All right. What about Kamala Harris?
I don't f with her either. Yeah. All Trump all day.
Yeah. What's your message to Donald Trump today?
Keep going. Come get us, man. We waiting on you.
I'm a Trump supporter, man. We gonna keep this going. Trump, he a real businessman. I'm a real Republican, man. I want Trump back in office second term.
What would be your message to Barack Obama?
Pump some money in here. Pump some money like Trump, you know?
Your message to Donald Trump?
Get us to the Super Bowl, bro. Make America great, man. That's all I can say. Make America great.
Everyone's so friendly around here.
Yeah, everyone's so friendly.
I need chain game like this.
Here we go. What's up, my guy?
Who we need up in there? Who we finna let drop a bag in the hood? Who to get the bag?
Y'all know we gonna need Trump in that joint. Y'all know we gonna find Trump. Y'all got Deagle going there, man.
Yeah, I'm taking over Benny Show, man. It's Rudy, man. I'm a YouTuber, man. Y'all get at me, man. But everything Trump over on this side of town. Back to you. You can go everywhere. See how dry this motherfucker is? We need Trump, boy. Whatever it's gonna do to make this flow back, man. Get it up. Let's get it going immediately, man.
Suggest that all of a sudden the majority of black people are going to vote for Donald Trump. We've over the last couple of weeks played audio of oftentimes very, just random, approachable individuals. There's a Sky News reporter in Georgia basketball court. And what I do find interesting is that the people who say they're going to vote for Kamala Harris, one didn't even know that Biden had dropped out of the race. Another one didn't even know who Kamala was, but he said, well, I just don't like Trump. You had the barbershop interviews. One guy said, well, because she's a woman. But you have increasingly people who are of color, specifically talking about black people, who are not only willing, but give substantial reasons why it is they're supporting Trump. And what is fantastic about this is that conversation is happening. And I know that sounds like a cliche to say, but the fact that, and you hear a lot of them say, Democrats for too long, they just told us, and we've always done it, we voted Democrat because we show up at the polls and they tell us that's what to do. But now they're talking, these conversations are happening. And regardless of what side individuals land on, talking about these things and through these things help us overall become a better culture and a better society. Got a traffic update more in moments. I'm Nick Reed. I don't have the audio, or I do have the audio, but I don't have the time. So I'm just going to relate to you. There, Charlemagne, of course, who has been a big promoter of the Democrat Party, he was the one that did not push back on Joe Biden when Joe Biden told him and others, "You're not black unless you support me." And there was a caller that called into his show, asking. This is in New York, and it's an urban station. Say, what are you doing? What has become of you? He said, "You guys are you're falling." Oh, and he specifically was calling. He's like, "Well, you're not so much for Charlemagne. I mean, you're falling all over Kamala, and she's part of the problem. What is happening here?" He said, quote, "How are you guys falling for Kamala so bad? I mean, you guys are falling head over heels for this lady. She a VP almost 4 years. She's done absolutely nothing. She's copy and pasting Trump's no tax on tips. Everybody's just falling for it. It's ridiculous. What's going on with you all?" He said, "I mean, Charlemagne, you too, man. You are just as guilty." And then Charlemagne responded back saying, "Well, don't you want an opportunity to own a small business? Don't you want an opportunity to own a home? Don't you want to see more money in working class pockets?" Well, these are all rhetorical questions to which the answer is obviously yes. But that's not only a reason to vote for Kamala Harris. That's a reason not to vote for her. That's why so many Americans, because all of these things have gotten worse. And the caller calling out Charlemagne and saying, "But she has been part of this," to which then Charlemagne says, "Well, she's vice president. She doesn't actually really have anything to do with any of this." So every defense of Kamala Harris are these theoreticals, well, I believe she'll do this, and then defending her by saying, well, she has no track record whatsoever. The fact that the conversation is happening in the black community, that the rubber stamping appears to be over. If there's any one thing that really genuinely long-term can be transformational about Donald Trump being on the landscape in this country, it could be that. News in 60 seconds. I'm Nick Reed. We got Author of the Week in the upcoming hour, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. Also, tomorrow, 10 a.m., Local for Less at KSGF.com. Big Whiskeys, a $50 gift certificate for only $25, and you can get 2 of those. And while you're at KSGF.com, you can register to win tickets to see Peter Pan at Juanita K, September 9th through 11th. That performance there, performed by Broadway's Best. And again, at KSGF.com, your chance to win tickets by registering. We've got Christy Fulnecki with us. Hey, how's it going
Good
there?
morning.
Yeah,
Please turn me on.
all right, there you go.
Thank
And
you.
done. And
Hello.
yes, are you really, really soaking in all of the DNC?
You know, actually, it's the first year that I've actually been able to watch a few minutes of it. So I don't know.
So the ratings continue to decline, which it doesn't really surprise me. I think a lot of people tuned in to see Biden just because
I want to see if
you
happens.
just you don't know what's going to happen. And here's a guy who had 50 elections in every state overthrown. And how is he going to react to that? Is he just going to take it, which he did? But there's just been a steady decline since then. Yesterday, I'm like they drag out the Clintons. They've got all these. Michelle Obama. They are upwards of worth $250 million, even though they don't have jobs.
Yeah.
They get paid hundreds and hundreds of thousands just to talk. She hawks anything with her face on it, or she's selling candles at some point. And she's up there lecturing people who take more than they need.
I know. I don't
like
to
you
send
piece of
this
crap.
video to you guys to our friend group, but it was talking about how I think it was her parents that they never took more than they needed.
Right.
And then it shows a picture of their home in Hawaii and they're stayed at Martha's Vineyard, and I mean it shows like they have like 3 houses.
And this is what a lot of people don't understand, particularly on the left, and maybe they don't care. It isn't about being wealthy. Trump is wealthy, but you know what? He's like, yeah, I am. I'm wealthy. I've got lots and lots of money. In fact, when he ran in 2016, at times he's like, I got crap tons of money. And I think it's great. I think everyone should be able to make this much money. But then people on the left, they amass all of this wealth, oftentimes not actually doing anything for it. They just show up at things like celebrities. But they act like they're not. And they demonize other people who are. It's like the hypocrisy.
They didn't build anything or provide a service. I guess doing a public speaking engagement is providing a service, but I mean, you wonder because you look at the salaries of presidents, and when he was in the Senate, I'm talking about Obama, and you're like, how in the world do you have a $8 million house and a $10 million house? I mean,
well, they must need it. They must. They need it. See, they need all that square footage. They need all of those private jet trips all over the world. They must need it because you listen to Michelle, who's so wonderful, and Barack also, who has in the past said you only need so much. You should only have what you need.
Well, in defense of them, I mean, they are running the country. If you're wondering who's running the country, now we know for sure it's the Obamas, and they're actually not directly getting paid. So, I mean, I guess you're getting paid under the table, so they do deserve it.
This is why I knew that she, or felt anyhow, that she would never run for president because they love money too much and not having to work for it. And a lot of it's books, which people, they don't write their own books. That's not unusual. Yeah. People, of that level, nor would they. They're not authors, I mean, you have ghostwriters write these things for you. And then, Netflix slaps your name on a producer thing, hoping that that'll bring in a bunch of stuff. But they don't actually do anything other than show up and talk about things. And it's a great life, and I don't begrudge them for having it. But then to lecture everyone else who also wants to be successful, as if they're not paying their fair share and they're taking too much. It's like, you know what? Shut your mouth.
I know.
Shut your mouth.
You wonder when
they have Oprah up there.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, one of the richest women in the world they have up there. Oh, by the way, she announced she's totally independent politically. It's like how dumb do you think people
Yeah.
are? She's just totally, completely independent. I'm sure I'm sure her voting record is an even mixture of Republican and Democrat.
Well, this is the first time I've actually been able to objectively trying to look at it because the past, I don't know, 10 of them, I haven't even been able to watch them because I was so angry.
Yeah.
But so this time I was actually watching, and it is not authentic. It is not. I mean, maybe just because I'm with a different party, but it seems like everyone is saying kind of the same things that we were saying in our convention, and it seems really fake. Like,
Well, and I want to highlight specific examples of that. Coming up, we do have to get news, traffic, weather with Sarah, so let's kick it off with the latest news. Christy Fulnecki joining us for an abbreviated visit.
yeah,
She's here until
federal judge.
yes,
Was
7.
appointed by Biden that does not like me being on talk radio. Thank you.
So 7:30, she will be exiting to, I guess, work on whatever that is going on.
And the first alert forecast from Color 10 Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Today we'll have mostly sunny skies with a high near 82. Tonight mostly clear with a low around 60. For Friday, sunny with a high near 89. And on Saturday, sunny with a high near 91.
Christy Fulnecki with us this morning, talking
Good
about
morning.
the what you perceive as the fakeness, the inauthenticity of the Democratic convention, and you look at it's as if one speaker doesn't know who any of the other speakers are, because they will have these themes. Like they had one of the ladies from, and I'm using that term loosely, The View, as a speaker, because what a better representation of the average woman than somebody on The View. And she was railing on Trump, accusing him of being cozy with or soft with leaders that are like socialist and communist, these dictators. And then Bernie Sanders comes and he praises communism and socialism. This is a guy that went to the Soviet Union for his honeymoon. I mean, it's like, and who defends communism and defends. I mean, this is a guy who literally defended when Cuba was brought up once that, well, your policies and when they've been in place in Cuba and people had to wait hours for, because of rationing, and he said that's a good thing that there's rationing because then everyone gets an equal amount. But then, and of course, then he rails against rich people and billionaires. The next guy that they have on is the governor of Illinois, who brags about being a billionaire.
I know. I saw.
It's like, do you all not look at this? The schedule, the lineup. Maybe you should not demonize the people, but it shows you how inauthentic they are.
Waltz did it last night when he was ripping on JD Vance for attending Yale, and the last 5 or 6 speakers before him either attended Yale or some type of Ivy League.
Yeah, Breitbart had a listing. These are some of the Yale graduates. They rip on make fun of him for going to Yale. The chairman of the DNC, Yale. Clinton, Yale. Klobuchar, Yale, and then of course you've got Harvard, you've got treasurer of the Democratic National Committee, all these other prestigious. So it's just everything they say is a complete contradiction. Yeah, it's nuts.
It's confusing that. I mean, they should be on message if that's what they're really for, because then you see that. I don't know if that clip was from her Kamala's speech or from the convention, but when they walked down and it said freedom all around, you could see the words freedom were posted when they were walking out into the crowd. And I thought, well, that's really confusing. I wonder if they just put communism or something on there. You're going to say freedom, but then you listen to your speakers and it's not about freedom.
You also then, Bernie Sanders is up there talking about how no party should allow their nominations or their election process to be bought by billionaires. I'm like, you are there for the purpose of getting elected a woman who did not get a single vote, who was picked by the super donors.
Yeah. That alternate universe. And then when they're talking about how bad it's been in the past 4 years or something, they're talking about, all this evil. There was something about the evil. I don't know if that was Obama, and talking about everything that's happened in the past few years. And I'm like, who has been running the country the past few years? When you make reference to it, I'm thinking you're trying to get away from what? That is the wrong message. You're not trying to get away from the past few years because your party's been in control. It doesn't make any sense.
Because I know not all Democrats are idiots. I know that.
Yeah,
they just the sheer odds
not,
of it,
yeah.
right? And all of the people, there has to be just at least one delegate there that is in their mind acknowledging this is an intellectual dumpster fire. Like just listening one speaker to the next, where they ream on this class of people, and then the next person gets up and brags about being that class of people that they just reamed on and demonized, and then that one, and then rail on the idea of having an election process in which the billionaires choose, when that's who he's there for this whole purpose, this whole reason.
You're waiting to hear is, our party's been in control, so what have we actually done for the past 3.5 years?
Nitpicking.
There's zero. There was not one thing. I mean, you can't even say one thing that you accomplished. I mean, not even one thing.
There was an interview being conducted at the event, and the Commerce Secretary, Gina Raimondo was being asked. She was being interviewed by somebody from ABC, and it was revealed that they kind of overestimated by 818,000 votes and actually weren't created, which of course is no surprise. What a shock that this administration is lying about numbers in order to make it appear as if they're doing better than they were. And so listen to now. This is the Commerce Secretary. This is sort of her thing, right?
When you hear that, do you potentially think that this new numbers could be a liability for this campaign?
No, when I hear that, first of all, I don't believe it because I've never heard Donald Trump say anything truthful.
It is, though, from the Bureau of Labor.
I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not familiar with the Bureau of Labor. Thank you.
I don't know anything about all this.
Those are just numbers. Those do not mean anything.
I love how it comes out of this administration acknowledges, and it's Donald Trump's fault. I don't believe. Actually, no, this isn't Donald Trump. This is the late. I don't know anything about. That's outside.
Are people that are not qualified for their job in that cabinet? I mean,
she may not know. I mean, really, she could be a DEI hire and have no clue whatsoever. I don't know. I'm just a girl.
This question is not, and this is not in my job responsibilities. So those are numbers, and those are handled by other people. Although this is commerce.
I'm surprised she didn't, whenever she was confronted with, actually, no, these are the Labor Bureau statistics. I'm surprised she didn't come back with, well, those are right-wing talking points. Because that's another one of their go-tos when they can't answer a question. Well, I mean, if you want to shill for Donald Trump, I mean, I can't stop you.
This is like so incredibly stupid. I can't believe this.
And they had, Ashley Biden.
Oh.
They didn't have her read from her diary. I noticed that. Wonder why they didn't have her read from her diary.
Yeah, I mean,
she got up there and she said that her father was the OG girl dad. I don't know, given what she's written in her diary. That's kind of creepy.
Did she even go there?
For those that don't know, she wrote in her diary that her father took inappropriate showers with her when she was a girl. A lot of people don't know this because, as you can imagine, the media doesn't really.
But it's just surprising they do things that could easily be fact checked. And they say things in their speeches and.
Or like Biden saying that the people that were protesting for the elimination of Jews had a point.
I know. I mean, Biden had
He just misspoke, that's all. He just misspoke.
I have loved to see what... I mean, I wish we could have done a drug test on him to see what he was on during that whole thing.
I mentioned the betting markets, and it's unprecedented one because betting markets haven't been around forever, but just Kamala going into this convention, the betting markets actually had her up over Trump, but every day the convention goes on, Trump is going up and she's going down. To have a convention actually work against the candidate, it's not how it's. Yeah, it's like, you're not doing this right. This is not how this is supposed to work. But you can understand why when average people watch this stuff and scratch their head and like, what is going on here?
Well,
who am I supposed to love and who am I supposed to hate?
Yeah,
do I love billionaires or do I hate them?
Speakers were so, I guess, kind of sidetracked when they're talking because there was so much about wanting to tell everyone how relevant they still are. I mean, Clinton, I actually watched quite a bit of his. Surprisingly, I couldn't even believe I did that. But at one point, he was saying, well, I'm just so glad, for the time that I have and I serve this country. And then going back and talking about himself. I mean, just think of all those speakers. I'm like, this is not about you. I mean, people are watching you and they're suffering in the country. And here you're talking about how you miss being in the limelight.
Betting this is the Oval Office.
They're so self-absorbed with themselves.
Meanwhile, not only has Harris, the only policy that she has suggested is the price control stuff that that did not go over well. I mean, even the media was like, "Did you not? You should have run this by someone first." But she doesn't even have a website with policy on it. Like, there's nothing. So, of course, as you can imagine, the Trump campaign created the Kamala2024policies.com website. So they figured, hey, if Kamala's not going to list her policies, then we'll buy a website and we'll do it. And so, so it's Kamala2024policies.com. And that's where you can see Kamala's agenda, since she and the Democrats are trying to keep it hidden.
I mean, I have never seen. Well, it was just so funny on the talk shows on Sunday how everybody was really like, she didn't really mean that.
Oh,
and
yeah. She won't really actually do that.
Yeah, the governor of Michigan. You know it's bad when the governor of Michigan, when she won't
on her
defend
price
you,
control policy.
Yeah.
It's more, it probably won't actually happen anyhow. Like, what's the selling point here on this woman?
I mean, that gives us a lot of confidence. It probably won't happen. And then, too,
it is embarrassing.
Who takes a stance, and then all of a sudden, it probably won't happen. Don't worry about it.
We should be embarrassed as a country.
It's so embarrassing. I mean, for them to take the no tax on tips idea from Trump. I mean, do you think people are that dumb?
Some are.
That they would think that that's her idea? I mean, that's very scary for our country.
I will be embarrassed as an American if the first woman president is her. Of all of the brilliant, intelligent, accomplished women out there that are able to talk, that have ideas that may not necessarily be even the best ideas, but they're ideas that they can stand behind, that they're confident in, that they can articulate, have discussions about, that all of the women out there that fall into that category, and this idiot is really the person that we're, I mean, you would think Democrats would be the one, like not Republicans saying this, but Democrats should be like, hey guys, if we're going to, can we not have somebody that's an idiot?
Look really bad for our party. And the thing is, if you look at anywhere, like the CEOs of companies, I mean, there are women all over the place that would be qualified to do that. But the problem is they're all Republican. And then you look at, like I said last week, the women in the military, some of these admirals and generals, I mean, they're very articulate. They can speak. They're down to earth. I mean, any of them, I would be thinking, if I'm like the superintendent at my daughter's school at the Naval Academy, got up there and spoke, and I kept thinking, how would you serve? How would you feel if you're this smart and articulate and you're running, this whole brigade, and then you have to serve under a commander-in-chief like Kamala? I mean, there is no way.
And then you look at the way the media lionizes her versus the way that they treated Kristi Noem because she wrote about her, her dog. Like they acted, like they just. I'm not saying that she said a lot of, there were things in the Kim Jong-un thing that to me is like, why would you? Some of this stuff seemed like complete self-inflicted wounds that deserved criticism or at least questioning. But when you look at the way the media just use that to define her as a whole, but Kamala in the meantime, this cackling hyena that is an idiot, and they just act like she's the most wonderful thing. Like, can we stop demonizing intelligent women in our culture and then holding up the stupid ones? Because that's what we do.
Well, tell you, they did that to Sarah Palin. Remember
do you read books?
And she could have been the vice president. And I actually read her books, and she talked about how she was the first governor of Alaska to actually read the budget, and they were so shocked that she actually went through the line items in the budget, and she was asking questions about all the spending. And so if you read her book and everything that when she would speak, they made the big deal about the Russia thing, but I mean, everything that she had done in her career, I mean, was very notable, and she could prove that she knew about what was going on.
Well, but to the point of the demonization, the I can see Russia from my house. She never even said that.
I know.
She never even said that. Was a skit on SNL, Tina Fey playing her, and you would be shocked how many, particularly Democrats, think that she said that.
Yeah.
Because they have no idea. But that's the point. And so here, and I'm not saying
because they were talking about it so much.
Well, and I'm not saying that she was the most intelligent or the best governor ever or anything. It's not about that. That's what the left always does. They can't ever have a measured response. They pick someone and they're like, "This is the best person ever, no matter what." But the treatment of women that do at least have successes, that can articulate their visions, versus what they choose to. I mean, look at The View on ABC. They list that as a news program. Those are some of the most ignorant human beings that have no clue what they're talking about. It's amazing how many times they have to come back from a break and apologize for something that they said, because it was so detached from reality. And we have got to stop holding up for people in this country as role models idiots that are women, when there are so many intelligent ones that are available.
Yeah. You know, during the debate, Sarah Palin was very good in the debate, and she was very specific about what she had done and her ideas for the future. I mean, I don't even know if Kamala is even going to be in a debate with Trump, because
Well,
I
she
can't
says
even.
she'll be in the ones that are hosted by media that are campaigning for her, but she's not. Yeah.
She can even articulate what she's done.
All right, you have to go. I don't want you to be held in contempt.
Oh yeah,
or whatever.
Stay, but there's a judge that is appointed by Biden that said that he would not move the time because I'm on talk radio for our hearing on Zoom.
Yeah. Well,
so
watch him show you and be late. Real power play. Chrissy Fulnecki, everyone. Thank you very much.
You.
Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. Traffic update.
Springfield's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Color 10, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Today we'll have mostly sunny skies with a high near 82. Tonight, mostly clear with a low around 60. For Friday, sunny with a high near 89. And on Saturday, sunny with a high near 91.
PBS host apologizes for falsely reporting that Trump pressed Netanyahu to abandon hostage deal. This was a mistake. Oh, a mistake, was it? PBS NewsHour anchor Judy Woodruff apologized Wednesday for reporting a story about former President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu that both leaders have staunchly denied. Woodruff posted an apology on X, expressing regret for reporting this week in a phone call, Trump urged Netanyahu to delay a hostage deal between Israel and Hamas until after the 2024 presidential election in order to benefit him politically. Now, of course, of course, there's a segment of the population that cannot think straight because they have hate in their heart. And their hate is so great, they will believe something this absurd. Most normal people are going to recognize that this is extremely unrealistic. Even if you hate, but this is the inability of people who hate Trump to think clearly and logically. Trump and Netanyahu both know that even if the phone conversations are not supposed to be recorded, they're being recorded. The idea that two individuals who know that someone is listening in on their conversations would talk about delaying a hostage release deal in order to somehow help Donald Trump get elected president, it defies all logic. The real problem here is the fact that Judy Woodruff should know that as well. Now, she says, well, I read this elsewhere. She said, I want to clarify remarks on the PBS News special on Monday night about the ongoing ceasefire talks in the Middle East. As I said, this was not based on my original reporting. I was referring to reports I had read in Axios and Reuters about former President Trump having spoken to the Israeli Prime Minister. In the live TV moment, I repeated the story because I hadn't seen later reporting that both sides denied it. Now, if you are honest, ethical, and intellectual, and you see a report like that, your first thought is going to be, that just doesn't make sense. Even if you hate Trump. Because Judy Woodruff knows that these are individuals who recognize that people are listening in on their phone conversations, whether they are meant to be listening in or they're not meant to be listening in. That is not a conversation that is going to be had over a telephone, if it were even to occur. The fact that apparently did not figure into her thinking demonstrates that either she is an idiot or, and in all likelihood, has such a seething white-hot rage of hatred towards Donald Trump that she has the inability to think even in a way that indicates there's the smallest amount of common sense rattling around in her head. And of course, because there are no standards in mainstream media any longer, particularly government-funded mainstream media, PBS, there's no action taken. There is no, and I'm not even talking punitively speaking, not even just to punish her, but in order to make sure that your standards are just a little bit better than zero. How far media has fallen from the days, as liberal as they were and as biased as they were, when George Bush was running for president. and Dan Rather spread disinformation based off of a faked letter that falsely accused George Bush of being dishonest about his National Guard record. Hello, Tim Walz. When it was discovered that it wasn't true, that the reporting was disinformation, if that were to happen today, after they received awards for the reporting, much like they gave one another for the Russian disinformation campaign, there might be, in all likelihood, it would just never be mentioned again, or there would be a footnote at the end of a news broadcast. Earlier reported the fact that George W. Bush had received special treatment based off a letter, and we have subsequently learned that we can't verify whether or not that letter is authentic. And though there's no proof that it isn't, because we have the highest standards here at ABC, or CBS rather, we just felt that we should let you know, and that would be the end of it. That's if they would even go that far. That's how it would be dealt with today. Back then, instead, Dan Rather was the face of CBS. They got rid of him. They got rid of the producer. People lost their careers over that. And it was either because CBS really, truly, genuinely did have standards, or they wanted people to at least believe that they did. That is irrelevant to these media outlets today. They can put out there as truth the most twisted, illogical, horrific news reports about Donald Trump, and then whenever it turns out that it, of course, isn't true, they're like, oh, hey, sometimes not even a correction on air. Just send out a tweet. Hey, guys, just so you know, I should have done that. Oopsie daisies. Gonna get back to work now. The embarrassing reduction that has become media in this country. What a just horrifically embarrassing thing. Springfield's Talk 1041, the Pyramid Roofing Company talk and text line 447 KSGF. I'm Nick Reed. Wilder RV with a full spectrum of repairs for you to keep in mind if you are currently an owner of an RV. At least every couple of years, you should get that complete system check done, especially if you are not able to keep it in storage inside, particularly in inclement weather. That can be very difficult a little hard on the RV. And whether you're talking just about inside maintenance, your refrigerators, any sort of electronics, or you are talking about hitches and entry steps. I mean, just anything and everything when it comes to your RV, Wilder RV. And if you've not ever explored what that could look like within your life in RV, I definitely recommend that you pay them a visit. They're in Clinton, Missouri, north on 13 of Springfield, just a bit over an hour. And their website's actually great as well, including pricing and financing options. And the pricing that you see is the pricing you get. They don't lure you in with these lower prices, but then once you get there and you pick one out with financing as low as $165 a month for a family RV, they're like, well, now that was, before we have to add this in, we got a delivery fee, and then we've got a setup fee, and we've got these and that. So that's actually going to make it $212 a month. That's not what they do. And it's why it is that so many people from all over the country for their RV needs go to Wilder RV. There is a comedian / entertainer by the name of Alex Strenger. And he made his way onto the floor of the Democratic National Convention. And while he was there, he was interviewed by a journalist from what outlet? I'm not sure what the outlet is. But the journalist saw him and thought, well, this guy, he looks enthusiastic, clearly, Kamala Harris supporter. And so, decided, hey, this is somebody that's worth talking to. Now, I'm going to explain to you what you're going to hear here. And this is what is so fascinating about this. He is pretending, based off of cliches, that he is a lefty. So what normal people, when we see people on the left that are just detached from reality. And if you're to stereotype them, he plays off of every one of those stereotypes. But what is telling about this is the reporter has no clue that's what's going on. And the reason for it is because you cannot caricature some of these people because they are caricatures. This is the conversation between the reporter and this conservative entertainer comedian who's pretending to be a Kamala Harris supporter.
What brought you out today? No, listen, my name is Noah Source. I use he, they pronouns. I'm just really excited that we have, the first Black woman that could be the president of the United States. And, my wife, right? We're in a polyamorous relationship. The lover that my wife took is African-American. And, I've learned so much about the struggle that people of color go through as a result of my wife's boyfriend. And so I'm excited to really do my part to show solidarity from us marginalized communities. So, the best way to do that is to get the first woman of color to be the commander-in-chief. And I'm really excited. I'm so pumped. Were you this pumped and excited like Joe Biden was phenomenal? I mean, listen, I would vote for a corpse over voting for Donald Trump because he's a disgusting fascist, white supremacist pig. But now, we get to really make history. We have, like I said, we have the first woman of color to be president of the United States. And, our country was founded on the values of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And Kamala Harris, there's nothing embodies those values more than a Kamala Harris presidency. So I'm pumped. I'm ready. I am so excited. I'm a proud white dude for Kamala Harris, baby. Let's go. I think that a Democratic event no, listen, this is amazing. You can't generate. I couldn't see any more excitement. The only way there could be any more excitement is if maybe you had an artist or a celebrity performing or open for but no, this is amazing. This is celebrity level of excitement. This is a rock star. And then, the thing that I'm the happiest about when it comes to Kamala Harris presidency, it's the economy. And, I'm really excited about how she finally wants to put a cap on prices at the grocery store. And, look, even if price controls, may lead to shortages of food and basic goods, the shortages will lead to rationing, and rationing, that leads to equity. And we need to be a more equitable place in America to dismantle our legacy of white supremacy. So thank you so much for hearing my voice and so many voices like me.
All right, so that is a guy by the name, I'm not familiar with him, though there's a good chance I've seen his stuff before. I think this is one of those guys that he pops up and goes viral every so often. You don't really know who he is. But he was being interviewed by a journalist as he was pretending to be. The journalist didn't realize this, obviously, as somebody there at the Democratic National Convention to support Kamala, and played off all the stereotypes. My pronouns are this, explained that, he's in a polyamorous relationship, and that he's learned so much as a white man when his wife brought in her partner, a black man, into the relationship, and how he's so enlightened and rationing is good, which is something Bernie Sanders has argued in the past. But the fact that normal people hear this and perceive it as a caricature, an over-exaggeration in order to illustrate the absurdity of people on the left. Yet at this event, he's perfectly normal. That presentation, being interviewed by someone, given all the other people that this journalist has interviewed, seemed perfectly normal. But of course, J.D. Vance is the weird one. You're the weird one. I'm the weird one. We're the weirdos. Springfield's Talk 104.1. I'm Nick Reed. Sarah Myers, everyone.
Thank you. The Pyramid Roofing Company. I know that it sounds funny to talk about storm damage with how beautiful the weather has been so far this week. But last week we did have a severe storm roll through the northeast portion of the listening area. And then we had multiple storms hit the area back in May. And right now is the time to take care of that damage before we get into the fall and winter months. So that's why I want to recommend Josh and his team with the Pyramid Roofing Company. If you're not exactly sure if your roof has been damaged, just go ahead and call the Pyramid team. They do free roof inspections, so if you get the green light, you're out nothing. But if you do need a new roof or repairs, the Pyramid team, they will work through that insurance process with you. And the Pyramid Roofing Company services the entire KSGF listening area, and I honestly could not recommend them enough. So if it is time to have the Pyramid team at your home, go ahead and call Josh today. You can find all of that contact information for the Pyramid Roofing Company under the Sarah's Endorsements tab at ksgf.com.
One of the straight up black and white lies that Tim Walz talked about last night was the disinformation. Donald Trump would sign a federal ban on abortion. And this is something that they continue to lie about, which demonstrates even they know the truth isn't on their side. And that's why people lie. They want you to not believe the truth. Because if you know the truth, you may not side with them. But just think about what's going on right now when it comes to their positioning on abortion. Number one, when Trump was first running, and Trump openly talked about appointing Supreme Court justices that would be strict constitutionalists, and this was something that most recognized would potentially get us closer to the overturning of Roe v. Wade, something that Ruth Bader Ginsburg herself said legally, constitutionally, would at some point happen. And he did that. And what did the left say? That it was like the worst thing ever, right? This was horrible. This was awful. Women were going to be killed during abortions, back alley abortions, all of these horrible things. Well, why is it at the convention they are once again talking about what they claim will happen instead of what has happened? Where are the string of husbands who lost their wives to botched abortions? Where are the people up there with their horror stories that are the results of Trump's policies from the first time around that we were told was going to occur? Where are those people? Instead, they're literally giving out free abortions outside the Democratic National Convention. These are the same people who lied to get people into hysterics, believing that abortion was, completely banned and horrible, while they're giving them away free at that same convention. And now it's like, here we go again. Oh, forget what we said before. Forget the disinformation. Forget what we told you was going to happen that didn't actually happen. We're going to reset, start over, and start telling you the same thing over again. Everything they say is in no way, shape, or form connected to truth and reality. News in 60 seconds. Author of the Week coming up, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. Couple of notations, ksgf.com. Local for Less Ozark, that will be 10 a.m. tomorrow. That launches live. Big Whiskey's American Restaurant and Bar, $50 gift certificates for only $25. You can get 2 of those. Coming up on Eda K, September 9th through 11th, Peter Pan, performed by Broadway's Best. You can register to win tickets for that if you would like to do so there. Of course, we also have the on-demand section. If you miss any of the program, you can go back, catch it there. You can share it on social media. Should there be any segments that you really liked in particular. I like this story. CNN's Dana Bash. She has argued, as part of their commentary covering the convention, that the convention, the Democrats' convention, appeals to men who are not so testosterone laden. So in other words, it's almost as if she's trying to say something that she knows isn't flattering, but put it in a way that doesn't sound like an insult. Like she's wanting to say, I mean, listen. Clearly, what you have here, this is not a place for real men. The manly man, the sort of stuff where you could get shot and almost have your head blown off. It grazes your ear, and while they're trying to whisk you away, you stand up and yell, fight. That sort of that's so uncomfortable. It's so unnecessary. That big, tough, brave, take on confrontation, all of that. That's not what the DNC is about. It's for men that don't really have the testosterone thing going for them so much, which is fine. I mean, it's perfectly fine. It's no problem whatsoever.
It's so funny because wasn't it just last week that the leftist media was promoting Tim Walz as this very strong, manly man?
That there was an op-ed piece by a liberal commentator. I don't recall where it was. New York Times. It was somewhere. Arguing that that's why Republicans didn't like Tim Walz, was because they were intimidated by his masculinity. As with everything, these people, that there is no tethering to consistency or reality or truth. None. On any given day, one day, Republicans are intimidated because the Democrats are so masculine. The next day, masculinity is awful. It's horrible. It's toxic masculinity. You got, we're the real men. And then you got, no, it's not really the real men. It's not testosterone laden because that's not an appealing thing. You have speakers up there last night, Pitsker of Illinois, bragging about being a billionaire. Preceding him was Bernie Sanders railing on the evils of billionaires. Bernie Sanders, a guy that embraces socialism. He went to the Soviet Union for his honeymoon. He just loves that sort of thing. He loves the idea of communism. Prior to him was a speaker railing on Trump, claiming that he was cozied up to people that Bernie Sanders admires. I mean, if you pay attention, you can't keep your head straight with these people. You really do genuinely, and I'm not saying this as an insult, it's an observation. In today's Democrat Party, it wasn't always this way, but today's Democrat Party, you have to just willfully not care about consistency, the truth, or just not pay attention at all. You just cheer when the applause lines come up. You don't listen to what's being said. Because if you do, you find yourself applauding somebody who just insulted what it is that the previous speaker you applauded was promoting. You've got to just be la-la land, floating through. This is my team. That's all that matters. What can I do to get a free hot dog? Oh, kill my daughter? Okay, that'll pass the time. None of this is to suggest that Republicans are perfect and that there aren't hypocrisies with everyone. But, I mean, it's just overdrive. There's nothing that isn't hypocritical with the Democrat Party. And I mean, you can see why it is that they are catering towards people that get their information from TikTok. And I mentioned earlier, I know that there have to be intelligent people, thinking people who vote Democrat. At what point are you going to wake up and go, what has happened to this place? What is going on here? This is not the party of issues. This is not the party of democracy. In fact, this story, Jill Stein, the anti-democratic party trying to shut down my campaign. Well, of course they are. That's what they do. They kick people off ballots. Whether it's secretaries of state that are Democrats that tried to kick Donald Trump off the ballot, all the way down to Crystal Quaid, represents some of the Springfield area, the gubernatorial candidate for the Democrats who went to court to kick a black man off the ballot that she was on because they try to rig everything. They're spending lots of money to try to kick Cornel West off ballots in states that they feel he may be detrimental to them. Jill Stein, she's facing this. RFK Jr., he's been facing this. Is there anyone that is a challenge to the Democrats' grip on power that they have not tried to kick off the ballot, to deny, to disenfranchise voters? I bet even Democrats couldn't tell you one. Author of the week coming up. Also weather right now, the latest news update.
And the first alert forecast from Color 10, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by St. Clair the Ozarks Home Improvements. Mostly sunny skies today with a high near 82. Tonight, it'll be mostly clear with a low around 60. For your Friday, it'll be sunny with a high near 89. And the heat will be back on Saturday with a high near 91.
I'm Nick Reed. It's Thursday, which means it is Author of the Week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. And today's book is The Israel Test, How Israel's Genius Enriches and Challenges the World. Our author, back in 1986, Reagan presented our author, George Gilder, with the White House Award for Entrepreneurial Excellence. He's a founding fellow of the Discovery Institute in Seattle, contributing editor to Forbes, and writes frequently for the Wall Street Journal, Wired, National Review, and the American Spectator. I appreciate you being with us. And of course, there's over the past almost a year ago, those attacks took place on Israel and the ongoing struggles that they are dealing with. So very timely. And I want to ask, before we really get into the book itself, there just a sustained hatred for Israel as a country. It seems as if it's that one country that the hatred for it never goes away. What is it that's unique about Israel that makes that such a sustained hatred?
It's a phenomenal success. I mean, it's Israel now has a higher per capita income than Germany, while enduring 6 invasions from its neighbors over the last 50 years or so. Israel has passed Japan, Germany, the United Kingdom, China, South Korea in per capita income. It's the genius of the Jews, which is manifest all around the world, and always arouses resentment from people who imagine the world as a zero-sum game, who imagine that material resources are limited, and if one person gets more, somebody else gets less. It's the great crippling delusion that also affects the overseas Chinese. You know, the overseas Chinese, these are settlements of Chinese all over Asia, also outperform the local citizens in intellect, achievement, wealth, and have undergone pogroms as formidable as the ones endured by the Jews in Europe. And indeed, Thomas Sowell says that the Jews might well be called the overseas Chinese of Europe.
I think that a lot of times, particularly in the States, and I don't know if it's the same in Europe as well, I know that I grew up in an era where there was a great deal of focus on poverty in Africa. And there was just, I think oftentimes it was believed, well, it was a resources issue. Same thing with the Middle East. And we think oftentimes stereotypical, well, there aren't many resources there. So there aren't the opportunities for these countries to lift themselves out of poverty. And then there is Israel right there, and it clearly is so different. And that, I think, is probably mystifying to people. As you noted, perhaps they believe in this zero-sum scenario and blame Israel for somehow robbing the massive geographic region of all of these resources. Of course, that is not the case. How is the difference explained when you have a people on such a relatively small piece of land surrounded by this vast area in which the people seemingly are either unwilling or incapable to advance themselves the same way Israel has? What's the difference there?
It's liberty. And Israel almost destroyed itself. In the mid-1980s, Israel was approaching an inflation rate of 1,000% and was on the verge of going bust. The whole Israel experiment was about to fail. But then led really by Bibi Netanyahu with his training at the Boston Consulting Group and its pro-capitalist insights and entrepreneurial guidance, led Israel to become startup nation and the world's single most crucial source of technology. I mean, we imagine that Israel is somehow dependent on us, but we're just as dependent on Israel. I mean, there are 100,000 Israeli citizens in Silicon Valley. They populate all our most valuable companies. They're critical to American success. And I gave President Reagan his first microchip way back in day 1985 when he was contemplating the Strategic Defense Initiative. And I said, this microchips, I showed him a Micron DRAM, that's a memory chip. And I said, this technology was going to transform the world, and it would make possible to have missile defense, defense against incoming intercontinental missiles. But the U.S. never really deployed it. But the Israelis did. They have Iron Dome, they have David Sling, they have Arrow 3 intercontinental interceptors. They have now they have Iron Beam, which when it's perfected will allow you to zap away incoming missiles with laser beams at the speed of light. So it's just if you really focus on human creativity in the image of your creator, you understand that we don't live in a limited universe. We live in an infinite universe, which is bounded only by the limits of human creativity and imagination.
We are talking with George Gilder, our author of the week, the book, The Israel Test, How Israel's Genius Enriches and Challenges the World. I'm curious, I don't want to get too far off the beaten path, but your reference to the mid-'80s where Israel almost destroyed itself until Netanyahu came along and guided them out of that, economically speaking. What was it that they were doing that led them to that point?
Socialism.
Yeah.
Israel's founders were largely socialists. They were influenced by Marxism, and the kibbutzim were supposedly ideals societies that overcame human greed and allowed cooperative societies, and it's not, and this has been the great delusion. And it's the great delusion of the world because people are not equal. People are equal in the eyes of God, but people are not equal in the ability to produce wealth, to invent new technologies, new goods and services, and to lead prosperous economies. And it's been true. We've always been, in the 20th century onward, Jews have really led the world in creativity and accomplishment. And societies that evict their Jews fail. The Manhattan Project won the Second World War for the West. We accepted the Jewish scientists from Europe and mobilized them to create the atomic bomb. And without that success, we wouldn't have won the Second World War, or it would have been really inconclusive, protracted, kind of like, and it's just a fact of life and of capitalism that we're dependent on a small minority of incredibly creative people, and an amazing proportion of them are Jewish. When you realize Jews are 0.02% of the world's population, and 5 of the top 10 richest companies in the world were started by Jews, and it's just a fact of life that people don't want to recognize, and that Jews themselves don't want to publicize out of some sort of sense that if people really understand how successful they are, they'll be more vulnerable.
Well, and it is interesting because those successes are demonized. It translates, or it's presented as the Jews, quote, controlling everything, instead of seeing it as a tremendous success and looking to it as an opportunity to learn from others. Why do you think that there is such a disproportionately concentrated quality of success within the Jewish community?
Well,
Israel specifically.
Israel and around the world. I mean, the Silicon Valley has 100,000 Israelis. Our economy is dependent upon Israel as Israel's is and on us. I mean, but the reasons are partly that Jews have been forced over the centuries to focus on mind, on creativity, on imagination. They haven't owned much land. They haven't commanded what are called material resources. They've always been forced to invent in order to survive. And that faculty that has been honed over the ages and now is being generated in Israel under the threat of wars of destruction have unleashed this incredible feat of the Israeli economy.
And then finally, you had mentioned, referenced it a couple of different times, the reliance factor, and I think we probably think of Israel relying on us more than we rely on them. Much of that is just because of a lack of understanding the geographic footprint we have compared to them, and it seems as if, particularly over the last year, that it's oftentimes a conversation about how Israel needs the United States for, whether it's funding or help militarily speaking. But you had mentioned and you predict in the book that if Israel's destroyed, that capitalist Europe will likely die as well, and that the United States will be in grave moral and economic jeopardy. Why is that?
Because it will mean that we succumb to this view of the world as a zero-sum game where the successes of some people come at the expense of others, and will give up the freedoms that are indispensable to supporting our population. Since the rise of capitalism in the mid-19th century, the world's population has increased from under 1 billion to now over 8 billion. And this has been made possible largely through innovations that happened in Israel, as I explain in my book, The Israel Test, how Israel's genius enriches and challenges the world. Israel invented and perfected most of the best desalinization plants. You know, Israel has solved the world's water problem already. You know, the world is supposed to be running out of water, but Israel, during its years of increasing their production of goods and services 16-fold, have reduced their consumption of water by 10%. That is, they use less water per capita today than they did when their economy was 1/16 the size. They've essentially solved the water problem, and the food, they sell flowers, cut flowers in Europe, and you know, they're incredibly efficient in their agricultural pursuits, and now they're extending their lead to medical services and even new material science, the science of graphene, which is the great new material that's going to transform electronics. It's a single layer of carbon atoms, 100 times stronger than steel, 1,000 times more conductive than copper, and allows terahertz, trillions of hertz per second of switching capability. It's just an amazing new material, and Israel is in the world lead, and with companies pioneering graphene. So it's just it's the power of the freedom plus creativity in the image of your creator.
The book is The Israel Test, How Israel's Genius Enriches and Challenges the World. The author, again, thank you, George Gilder, for being with us this morning. Our Author of the Week, sponsored by ABC Books on North Glenstone. I'm Nick Reed.
This is your home for Town Hall SRN News every hour. This is Springfield's Talk 1041.
And I do believe we'll have one of the characters with us tomorrow as we broadcast live from Scramblers, sponsored by Custom Shade Window Tinting. Great opportunity to tap into their knowledge. If you have any questions about refinancing, interest rates, home buying, needing those home loans, of course, and is it the right time? Should you wait to see what the election outcomes are in order to make those decisions? A lot of that's going to depend on your particular situation, but that's where the Carricker team can help provide you all the information that you can utilize in order to make that decision for yourself. And you can always reach out to them. Their contact info at iwantagreathomeloan.com. Or, like I said, swing by tomorrow, the 8 o'clock hour. They're usually there about 8:15 or so. One or both of the Carrickers or someone from the team. And as I said, if you don't catch them there, iwantagreathomeloan.com, because you do. A traffic update, I'm Nick Reed.
Springfield's Talk 1041, your first alert forecast from Color 10, Fox 49 meteorologist Tom Schmidt, sponsored by Wolfpack Cleaners, your residential and commercial cleaning professionals. Mostly sunny skies today with a high near 82. Tonight it'll be mostly clear with a low around 60. For your Friday, sunny skies with a high near 89, and the heat is back on Saturday with a high near 91.
And it seems like it's a bit since we've had Caitlin in, which means, I guess, new season, right? Springfield Symphony, is this 90 years?
Yes, absolutely. We are celebrating our 90th anniversary season this year.
Oh.
So we've been here in Springfield since 1934, had our first concert in February of 1935.
Where originally were the performances?
So we were originally at Clara Thompson Hall over at Drury.
Yes.
Oh,
so we started
okay.
out there, and we've done a couple different venues throughout the years, but we're home at Hammond's Hall for the last, 20 or something years. It's been fantastic.
Some time.
Yeah.
All right, what's the upcoming season look like?
Yes, so because it's our 90th anniversary, we're throwing it back to 1930s. So everything is based on famous music from the 30s. So each of our concerts has a title of a famous song. So of course we're starting off with Putting on the Ritz. So we got I Got Rhythm, Summertime, Lullaby of Broadway, a lot of big, huge music things happened in the 30s, and we wanted to celebrate that. And within each concert, we have kind of those big famous pieces that we all know and love throughout the years. And it's been really cool, but we also pair it because Kyle's a genius when it comes to programming, that he programs new works and things that you might not have heard, or just things that are a little bit different. So it's going to be a really cool season. You're going to have something amazing every single show.
Tell us, as we kick things off, about season passes. We, in passing, reference that oftentimes, but I think a lot of times people, we have a lot of listeners that enjoy going, but they may not be in the loop, if you will. So they know, because they'll hear us talk about it, that, oh, there's a performance coming up this weekend, but maybe it's too late for them at that point. So to me, one of the benefits of season pass is that you know way ahead of time. I mean, you can know that stuff anyhow because those dates are set in place. But I don't know. It just seems like that you've got it. You've got the passes, and that's just a constant reminder. And so it helps keep you in the loop.
Yeah, absolutely. So we try to be as available for anybody. If you want the full 9-season concert, you can do that. We also have you can do the classical series if you prefer just the more like traditional classical music style.
So you can customize.
Yes, and then we also have our Pops and Premium series, which is our last 3. So that includes our Christmas concert. We're, of course, working with St. Louis Ballet again, so that's part of that program. And then in November, we are working with Missouri State's Music Theater Department, and so they're part of that program. So yeah, you can really customize which selections you want to do, and then you basically get your seats for the whole entire season, or for the concerts that you buy for, and you don't have to worry about it. You just get it all at once, and you're done, and you actually save some money when you do that as well.
So do you have set seats that stay the same through the entire season?
Yes, absolutely. So if you have your favorite seats in the hall, I know that we have a lot of those people like, I want this seat, I want nothing else. This is where I feel like the music sounds the best. That's your seat for the entire season.
Behind the Baton, is that again during the season?
Yeah, we'll be doing Behind the Baton this year. So Thursdays before each classical concert. And this year we're going to be at First and Calvary Presbyterian Church across from Hammond's Hall in their beautiful atrium. And it's going to be really cool to meet with our guest artist and some composers that we're performing with this year. It's going to be really cool.
A few weeks until the first performance, correct?
Yes, our first performance is September 14th. And so we're kicking off Putting on the Ritz, especially with Shostakovich's number 10. We're doing our guest artist, Spencer Meyer, who's a world-renowned Steinway artist, is coming to join us for Grieg's Piano Concerto number 1. And it's going to be a cool thing. And before that, we have an opening night dinner that we celebrate and do a champagne toast for the kickoff of the season.
If someone hasn't ever been before and maybe they buy tickets for the opening September 14th, or maybe they even win them through us, and then they decide, this is really cool. Is it too late at that point to get season passes?
No, absolutely not. We are welcome to start your season ticket journey anytime during the season.
All right. Anything else?
No, I'm just
Okay.
really excited to have this season kick off.
People want tickets, season passes, more information.
Yeah, absolutely. Everything is on our website, springfieldmosymphony.org, or you can call our office or the Hammonds Hall box office.
All right. Very good. Thank you, as always. Great to see you.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right, and we'll talk to you throughout the season.
Yes.
Springfield's Talk 1041. I'm Nick Reed. Streaming live, KSGF.com. Tonight, Kamala Harris will accept the nomination after 0 people voted for her in the primary, 50 different states. Not a single vote for her. The Democrat Party is fully, functionally operating, not unlike a communist party in which they just tell the people, this is whom you're going to support. This is your person. 30-plus days without answering any questions. Trump has had to set up a website explaining her policies because there's still no platform in which anyone can find anything she's going to do other than her announcement of Soviet-style price controls. I've run over this before, but it is crazy to me, and I know a lot of you, what has happened to the Democrat Party in this country. If 4 years ago, Republicans, conservatives had predicted that the Democrat Party was going to become so totalitarian that they would begin operating as a dictatorship, not allowing their voters to pick who the candidate is, rigging the process in order to make sure Joe Biden didn't have any challengers, and then when, by their own admission, nothing to do with his health, but only because they felt that he couldn't beat Trump, they overturned the election of their own voters in all 50 states. And they're very consistent in this, that none of them out there say that, oh, it's because he wasn't cognitively there. They continue to say it was because he couldn't win. If 4 years ago or 8 years ago you had said this is what the Democrat Party would do, and then they would not let a delegate challenge to occur. They would just pick, like the Communist Party, just pick their anointed person that was backed by billionaire donors, and then have a pretend delegate vote at a convention, all for show. Anyone who predicted that would have been accused of lying, would have been accused of, fear-mongering, trying to make the Democrats look like they were crazed dictators. But here they are. If 4 years ago, in addition, the prediction that the party would tell the people, screw your vote, this is whom you're going to support, and then in addition to that, that person not give any interviews, that person not sit down, not do any town hall where they answer questions from people, and not even release a platform of here is what I will do as president of the United States outside of Soviet-style price controls, you would have been accused of being some sort of hysterical conspiracy theorist liar. But here we are. It is just, it's remarkable. And it's remarkable that there are the real true difference in mindset and how different human beings can be regarding their expectations. That you have a segment of the population that can't even begin to fathom not being the person or the people that make these decisions. For example, who the nominee is going to be. I think most Trump supporters, particularly given that since the era of the establishment running the Republican Party is over, the voters kicked that to the curb back in 2016, almost a decade ago. And thus far, ever since then, it's the voters that have been running, if you will, the Republican Party in terms of at least whom the presidential nominee is going to be. Somebody had made the comment yesterday or the day before. They noted that here you've got the Democrats, and they're bringing out all the former past, presidents. You got the Clintons, you got the Obamas, and noted that the RNC, the Republican National Convention, didn't have that. Now, of course, you only have GW. But he's alive and kicking. He's out there doing stuff. Why was he not a speaker? And that's really genuinely because as of 2016, that process of choosing a presidential candidate was taken over by the voters. Now, ultimately, of course, Republicans would go out and they would vote, they would caucus. But the establishment told them, here's the person you need to support, and Republican voters did it. Republican voters were told, John McCain, you've got to support him. He's the moderate. He's the one that will bring people across the aisle. He's the only one who can win. And so there was compliance by Republican voters. Mitt Romney, same thing. He's a moderate. Oh, he's a Republican governor of Massachusetts. If as a Republican he can get elected in Massachusetts, this is the one person they can get Democrats to cross party lines and vote for a Republican. So Republicans did it. The first presidential election I ever participated in, when I was finally old enough, Republicans were told Bob Dole, he's a statesman. He's respected by Democrats and Republicans. I mean, my entire voting history when it comes to the president is one in which the Republican Party told the voters how to vote, and they just ultimately would do it. Not that there weren't some battles and challenges by other candidates, but ultimately the Republican National Party got its way, and then Trump came along and the people said, we're not doing it anymore. I don't care what you say. This is who we're choosing, whether you like it or not. Otherwise, Jeb Bush would have been the nominee back in 2016, and Hillary Clinton would have most likely been president. And that butterfly effect, who knows where we would be today. And so it's been this remarkable evolution of the Republican Party, much to the chagrin of the elites. This is why the Mitt Romneys and the Paul Ryans, they won't even show up to the convention. This is why George Bush was not a speaker at the Republican National Convention, because that is a process that when it comes to at least, and I know there's a lot of, party politics, and there still is the establishment that when it comes to things that the actual Republican voters aren't involved in, that they still have a great deal of control over. But when it comes to that, when it comes to the average person who decides, I'm going to go to the caucus or I'm going to go to the polls, which most people do, and I'm going to choose whom I want the nominee to be, that has been so transformed. I don't think people really recognize how different it is and how much that is something that the voter, the people who are participating in the Republican Party, have changed to the point I don't think anyone even really thought. I shouldn't say anyone, but most people, it never even crossed their mind the fact that George Bush wasn't there. It never even, just not even a thought. That says a lot. And it is a demonstration of how evolved the Republican Party has become in regards to grassroots individuals making those decisions. And then on the absolute flip side, the Democrat Party, who used to portray itself as grassroots, and now it's just like, no, this is who your candidate's going to be. By the way, vote for her, and then you'll find out what she's going to do. We're not going to have an actual platform for you to read. We know you didn't vote for her. None of you did, and we're not even going to allow anyone to challenge her at the convention. We're going to do the delegate count. I mean, the whole thing's rigged. In terms of the the party of the people. You could not have a more stark difference. And you have a Republican Party in which the candidate who's running for president was chosen by the people. The Democrats have someone in which the people were told, this is who you'll support, whether you like it or not. No one can deny that difference. Springfield's Talk 104.1, I'm Nick Reed. All right, everyone. We'll talk to you tomorrow from Scramblers, sponsored by Custom Shade Window Tinting, powered by 3M Window Film. Glenn Beck's next. I'm Nick Reed.